What if I told you that one of the greatest inventors of human history believed that the dead were still conscious? That's Thomas Edison, the father of modern electricity, motion pictures, and sound recording, and quietly working on a device designed to communicate with spirits. Not through seances, not through belief, but through science. In the early 1920s, Edison shocked the world when he publicly stated that he was developing a machine, a device so sensitive that it could detect consciousness after death. He called it simply a way to talk to the other side. Today, we're exploring Thomas Edison's spirit phone, what inspired it, what his unpublished notes reveal, and why his ideas mirror modern mediumship, EVP research, and paranormal investigation more closely than people realize. This isn't superstition. This is the untold story of scientific spirit communication. Thomas Edison wasn't a mystic. In fact, he wasn't religious in a traditional sense. He distrusted dogma, rejected organized religion, and relied almost exclusively on observation and experimentation. But that's exactly what makes the story so inspiring. Edison believed consciousness did not end at death, that the personality survived physical decay, and that if something still existed, it could be measured. To Edison, the afterlife wasn't a matter of faith. It was a technical problem waiting to be solved. In 1920, Edison gave interviews with Scientific American and other publications where he stated plainly, "I have been working on a machine that would make it possible for personalities which have left this earth to communicate with us." This wasn't rumor, and this wasn't gossip. This was Edison on record. He believed that if human consciousness could survive death, it would leave behind measurable effects, and that advanced instrumentation could detect those effects far better than the human nervous system. In other words, he believed mediumship could be mechanized. What was a spirit phone? Edison never used the term spirit phone himself. That name came later. But the concept was clear. He imagined a device infinitely sensitive, able to amplify the smallest forces, designed to respond to human intelligence, not random noise. He believed that the soul was made of what was called life units, tiny, indestructible packets of energy that retained memory and identity. When the body died, these units didn't vanish. They dispersed. And if they still thought, they could probably communicate. The problem wasn't if spirits existed. The problem was signal detection. Here's where things get even more interesting. Edison was known to observe séances. He tested claims made by mediums. And while he was publicly skeptical of fraud, his private writings show respect for genuine phenomena. He believed that some mediums were acting as biological receivers, human instruments picking up on subtle energies. But humans were flawed. Emotions interfered, belief distorted results, so the nervous system was inconsistent. And Edison wanted a natural translator, a machine that didn't need to believe, didn't imagine, didn't hallucinate, just received. If you've worked in paranormal investigation, this will sound familiar. Electronic voice phenomena, spirit boxes, instrumental transcommunication. Edison's concepts mirror these methods almost exactly. He believed spirits could manipulate energy, that consciousness could influence physical systems, and that communication could occur through amplification and modulation. Sound familiar? Modern investigators use radio sweep devices, white noise generators, digital recorders, and frequency manipulation. Edison was imagining this a century earlier, before transistors, microchips, before digital audio. He was thinking ahead of the technology. So why did we never see it? Edison himself admitted, "I have not yet perfected it." Some historians believe that technology was not advanced enough. Maybe his funding priorities shifted, or Edison passed away before his refinement. Others suggest something more unsettling, that early results were inconclusive or perhaps too disturbing to publish. No blueprints were ever found, no prototype recovered, just interviews, notes, and silence. This may be the most important part. Edison believed that death was not an ending, but a reorganization of intelligence. He rejected heaven and hell, but embraced continuity. To him, souls evolved, intelligence persisted, and personality mattered. He once said, "If our personality survives, then it is strictly logical to conclude that it retains memory, intellect, and other faculties." That belief alone places Edison closer to modern spiritual science than to materialism. Today, consciousness studies are exploding. Quantum physics questions locality. Neuroscience admits we don't know where consciousness originates. Paranormal research is becoming increasingly technical. And Edison's idea that consciousness can be detected independently of a body is no longer fringe. Mediumship is no longer just spiritual, and Edison saw that coming. Maybe the spirit phone was never meant to be finished by just one man. Maybe the work was meant to be continued through sensitive humans, through advanced technology, and through those that were willing to listen beyond the veil. Thomas Edison didn't just invent light. He tried to illuminate what comes after. And perhaps the signal is still there, waiting. If this topic resonates with you, if you've ever felt a presence or received a sign or sensed communication beyond the physical, let me know that down in the comments. Don't forget to join my community and download your free Afterlife Signal Guide. That link is below this video. And if you're fascinated by the intersection of science, spirit, and the afterlife, I've created an entire playlist for you. Check out my Mediumship Mysteries playlist. And to those of you who feel called, not just curious, and want to develop your own mediumship safely, ethically, and with discernment, check out my Spiritual Academy for mediumship training. And until then, remember, the veil has never been silent. We just had to learn to listen.